If you've been anywhere in the One Piece community for probably a month or so, you would have heard the phrase probably Yamato is going to be the next Straw Hat. And it's been a very common thing ever since her introduction, all the way back at like 984, I believe. And this spark has been reinvigorated with the latest chapter, that being 1016, with her basically declaring, or he declaring, that he's going to be the next Straw Hat, or he's going to sail the seas with Luffy and the entire crew. And I can see why people were very excited about this, because if you look at it at a very surface level perspective, you can definitely see that Oda is basically telling us that, yeah, Yamato is going to be the next Straw Hat. After Kaido's defeated it, whenever they leave Wano, Yamato is going to have this like massive celebration of them, and yeah, it's going to be the end of things. But if you want my honest reaction to it, I was like, I wasn't really excited per se, but I was like, yeah, this is her character. She pretty much declared this to Luffy when we first met back in like 984. I'm pretty sure he shrugged it off, but I could be wrong on that. But yeah, she basically declared it Luffy, and this is like her entire dream, trying to leave Wano and be like Odin. And I don't agree with the notion that this is a guarantee that Yamato is going to be the next Straw Hat, because I definitely feel like other characters have way higher chances, like Carrot, Momo, Tama, have all bigger chances than Yamato has, just because for the fact that they've been in the story way longer than Yamato has, and they have been able to flesh out their own little stories, little plot lines going on within Wano. And I mean, like, Carrot's been here since Zoe, Boa's been here since Punk Hazard, so I definitely feel like they have more of a chance than Yamato has. And she's just been, like, shoehorned in here 40 chapters back. And it's like, I'm going to be the next Straw Hat. I definitely feel like Oda is a writer who wouldn't really do this, like shoehorning a character in just to be like the next Straw Hat and not getting like the development that they need to like be a Straw Hat. Because if you remember all the way back in Ennie's Lobby in Water 7, we initially thought that Frankie was like going to be one of the main antagonists. I mean, like, we had this whole setup with the Frankie family, and initially, I think Luffy was looking for a shipwright at the time. And if you were like a kid watching or reading One Piece all the way back in the day when it was being serialized, then you would definitely feel like either one of the people like Galileo, like Kaku, Polly, Iceberg, would be like the next like demonstrated, or I would say foreshadowed people to be the next Straw Hat. But it ended up being Frankie, and his storyline was fleshed out with Usopp's. If you remember back whenever he flashed back to his childhood with Tom and Iceberg and all that stuff. And I feel like we definitely need more analyzation about, or to analyze what makes a Straw Hat. Because if you remember, the East Blue Four were like they were pretty much without a doubt foreshadowed and were guaranteed to be a Straw Hat the first like moment that we saw them. Like, they're like the main center of their island back in East Blue. Usopp has their village. Sanji had Baratier. Like, they had played major roles in their arcs, and it was pretty much guaranteed from the start or jump that they were going to be like a Straw Hat. They have this very ambitious goal. Like, Zoro wants to be like the number one swordsman. Nami wants to make the entire map of the world. Sanji wants to find the All Blue. Usopp wants to be like a brave warrior of the sea, and so on and so forth. But later on, Oda has been like switching it up on us like every single arc. Like, we've gotten less and less Straw Hats the more arcs that we've gotten. Like, if you remember Drum Island, I believe, Chopper was like he wasn't an integral part, but definitely whenever we got more development on his side and we got his backstory, which, by the way, made me cry. This is the only time in One Piece that made me cry, besides Ace's death. But it definitely, I would say, pretty much flipped everything on its head. Luffy asked Dr. Kureha to be like a Straw Hat, I believe, and she was like, nah. Just saying it, fam, like, I'm not going to join your crew. And yeah, we eventually thought that everyone Luffy asked to join his crew was going to join, but we would later find out that that wasn't really the case. And Oda is like a writer that switches everything up. He subverts his own expectations every single arc. You can see this throughout East Blue, pretty much every New World arc or like pre-time skip arc. He's subverted expectations and time again. And yeah, I feel like he's very underrated for that part. And taking a look at all the other Straw Hats that were introduced in East Blue, how they were introduced is very unique and different way from how the rest were viewed as. Because I already went over Chopper. He was like, we didn't expect him to be the next Straw Hat, but he ended up being the mascot. And Robin was introduced in a very unique way, as she was pretty much set to be a villain with Crocodile, and basically was supposed to be like a villain before she joined the crew without even. Luffy didn't even ask her to join his crew, but she joined instead, and it was this really unique and fun way to have Robin join, which I actually really like Oda for. And you can say the same about Frankie. We initially thought like one of the galley, a lot of people were going to be like the next Straw Hat. Turns out it was Frankie. He was like a major antagonist for the first half of Water 7, but ended up being a ally instead. And if you remember back in Thriller Bark, Brook was basically set to be the first person to join the crew. He basically accepted, but Luffy would go on to like ask many other people. So at the end of Thriller Bark, we didn't really know who was going to be the next Straw Hat, but it ended up being Brook, with us getting his backstory and his whole thing with Little Boon, which was very nice. And Jinbei being the most recent one, his arc was very unique because he pretty much protected Luffy from impelled down a Marineford, the post Marineford arc, and was an integral role in Fishman Island, with him his I guess recruitment lasting all of New World at this point, because he was asked to join. Then he was like, "Hey, I need to do something for Big Mom, but Ayo, catch me in Whole Cake Island." And then we go Whole Cake Island. He was an integral part there. He says, "Hey, I'll meet you up in Wano. Trust me." And then here we're in Wano. He's there with pretty much everyone else, and he pretty much declared that he's going to be like the helmsman of the entire crew, which is nice in a way. Now, if you were to tell me what makes a Straw Hat like currently right now, I have to answer you with a few points. My first point would have to be a subversion of expectations. Like I've stated previous in this video, Oda is a master at subverting our expectations whenever it comes to introducing a new Straw Hat, which I feel like Oda is very underrated for, and definitely deserves the praise. But that's just his style, and I feel like that's like one of the first points. I would say number two would be they have to have their own storylines and plot lines in their respective story arcs, and basically have their own character arcs through their respective stories. So at the end, they had like an emotional moment with Luffy and the other Straw Hats, so they can officially join. And number three is basically a given. You have to have like an ambitious goal for you to complete, and yeah, it's basically how Oda makes a Straw Hat. Now, when we apply this to Yamato, what do we see? Well, she wants to leave Wano and to become like a person like Odin. Just like she stated multiple times, she wants to, or he wants to become more like Odin. I'm sorry, he, I guess, yeah, he wants to become just like Odin, and you could say that's like an ambitious goal. I really wouldn't say it's like an ambitious goal. Yeah, pretty much. We have to have like their own respective storylines. Kind of, Yamato has like a storyline with Kaido trying to break off the chains from him, quite literally and figuratively. As we saw, whenever he had the cuffs on, he had to break him off, and he ended up doing it. And yeah, character arcs. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really see a character arc for Yamato currently. I definitely feel like there is like the concept for one, and I'll give you like my interpretation of what a storyline for Yamato could look like, but it's not going to have her end up joining with Straw Hats, because I can see a character arc being Yamato learning not to be like Odin and to stay in Wano to protect the his native homeland, because that's basically Odin's flaw was he wanted to go out to sea. He wanted this ambitious goal to like be fulfilled of his, and end up leaving Wano in like a very vulnerable spot without like their like strongest samurai. And yeah, he ended up suffering for it. And I feel like Yamato can learn from that and not join the Straw Hat crew and to stay at Wano to protect. But I can definitely see Yamato being an ally of the Straw Hat crew, like a Grand Fleet member. Um, yeah, just like Katakuri. Maybe Katakuri, but I feel like Yamato has a bigger chance. And yeah, that's like potential story arcs or story or character arcs I can see Yamato going down. That's like the most common one or one that you can think of like immediately. But I will say this. I could definitely see Yamato becoming a strat if the raid does fail. But if the raid doesn't fail and it continues on in the path that Yamato's on, like spirals with her and Luffy fighting Kaido, they defeat him. I could definitely see Yamato not joining then. But if the raid fails, I could definitely see her joining or having a bigger chance than she was like right now, because of the fact that we'll get more development of her and the crew, and yeah, just development just in general, and yeah, hopefully Oda can like create a story arc or a character arc for Yamato if the raid does fail, so she have like a bit much higher chance of joining, in my opinion. But those are just my thoughts. Tell me what you guys saw of the video, if you think Yamato's joining or not. But I definitely see her being a maybe candidate if a raid fails or not. But we'll basically have to see for ourselves. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video and you're new to the channel, subscribe, like, share it with a friend if you would. And yeah, it's been your right Explorer, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.